Hey now, ChroNoSo monthly. We're here. It's a motley crew tonight, and we got my boy HDR making his video debut.
Debut, brother.
JAD and Ryan Gray as well. We are all here to talk about one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, and I don't think it's hyperbole. It's the end of the first and most iconic Hulk Hogan title reign on the main event, which drew 33 million viewers, I think it is. I'm sure we'll talk more about the raw numbers, but just an incredible night. The first time that the wrestling is on network TV in prime time since like the 60s or the 50s. So really just a huge night for the company and for the business and for Hulk and certainly Andre and everyone involved, really. So we're going to talk about it. I think whenever we talk about something this long ago and when we were kids, the most interesting thing to me is, where were you in the moment? Let's start with you, Dave. Get your feet wet here on video. What do you remember just about the night and where you were and who you were with and kind of all those like surrounding stuff that we always talk about on 24IP?
Sure. Oh my God, I'm not gonna say I remember it like yesterday, but I remember it very, very well. My dad was home. My mom was in the kitchen. My Aunt Dee, Uncle Tito were over the house, and my sisters were all out. But wherever they were, this was on because the whole world was watching it, and it was just, they had me prepared because we always had a little bit of it living so close to Madison Square Garden. We always had a little bit of an inside scoop here on what's going on, even back in 1988. It's when the Smarts were cool, you know what I mean? But yeah, they were trying to prepare me a little bit there. But it seems so weird, like when I'm up to get ahead of myself here, but like when I remember even at 7 years old, like looking at Earl holding the belt up, like refs don't hold the belt up that long. I'm like, something don't look right here. Like something's up.
Yeah, there's a while there, and I will get to it, where you're almost waiting to not believe it, right? You can't believe it. And they did a really good job. We'll talk about it, kind of creating suspense even after the pinfall, I guess. What about you, JD? Where were you back? First, you were what, 28, 29, I think, in 88. What were you up to back in 88 watching that?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was banging away. I was waiting tables. It was a Friday night, the old job. But when I got home 11:12, I had the old VCR.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Tape. The what?
Chuck E. Cheese. Where are you working?
He was Chuck. He was in the band.
But fortunately, it wasn't like today where you had to worry about running into somebody and saying, "Oh, Andre won the match" or something like that. It was total dark. So I popped the tape in.
So you got home spoiler free. You were good.
What's that?
You were good, spoiler free.
Oh yeah, come on.
Surprised it wasn't on in the restaurant.
Yeah. Nah. Not that kind of place, Dave. Not that kind of place.
Not the kind of place. All right.
The high-end Italian joint that
steak joint, actually. Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? Were you out and about watching this back in 88?
Pretty sure I was in diapers. I was 2.5.
Still, yeah.
Oh, really? Youngster here. As a gorilla would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
My first wrestling memory I do recall, though, is Andre in red tights. I assume it was a Boston Garden show that I watched on replay or whatever, but I remember Andre in red tights. So that always has me.
What do you Andre in the red tights? First time seeing this?
My first time seeing this, honestly, not live. Watching it full was probably when the network came out. I had to see it. So
wow.
One of the first thing I seeked out on the network was this show in its full. But, I saw clips of it growing up. And the two referees thing is so infamous that,
right.
You learn about it really, really quick in your wrestling fandom. And they would talk about it, too, throughout the late 80s and early 90s when you go back and watch Earl and Dave Hebner, so on and so forth. So
I think it's the greatest angle ever besides maybe the NWO. Angle-wise.
Yeah. It's up there. I was 7 like Dave and was living in West Seneca, New York, and in like kind of the house I grew up in until 4th grade. And the really funny thing about this, and my uncle will still call me, and he'll be like, "When did my friend Donnie move to Los Angeles?" Because they stopped over the house because he was leaving the next day. So I always forever know when my Uncle Paul's random friend Don moved to Los Angeles. And my uncle, he'll be at a party with like his boys, and they'll be talking about Donnie, and be like, "When was it he left?" And like, "Oh, let me call Steve. He knows the exact date he left." And they'll call me up and I'm like, yeah, it was, January of 88. I was watching the main event. Because they stopped over my house because he wanted to say bye to my mom. And I remember I would throw a pillow on the ground and I would put my arms up on my chin around the pillow and my legs would kick the couch. That's how I would sit on the floor in front of the TV. And the TV was legitimate furniture. It was this big wood thing that was more wood than screen, really. But we thought it was huge. We thought we had the big screen TV. It's probably 27 inches or something in reality, but it weighed 640 pounds. And I remember my brother Greg was about 2 years old. So he was nothing but a pain in the ass. I remember him crawling around, being around, and me thinking, why isn't he in bed? Just really annoying the piss out of me. My brother wasn't born yet. And I just remember, the guys were drinking beers. It was Danny's last night in Buffalo. He's starting a new life, or Donnie, he's starting a new life tomorrow. And I'm just watching the matches and I'm telling those guys, Hulk has been the champion since, 84. He's already beat Andre once, and for me, and I was going to ask you this, we'll go around the horn with this. I'll start it. And the question is kind of, when did you first know Hulk might be in trouble? And for me, it's when all those guys came out, and I remember saying it's supposed to be Hulk versus Andre. Why are there three other guys? Why is DiBiase out there? And why are all these guys out? Because I knew they weren't just out there to watch, and that they were going to get involved. They were going to cheat. And that was the first time when I seen all those guys, I thought Hulk might be in trouble, because it's a lot different than just Bobby at WrestleMania when it's two legitimate wrestlers. And even though DiBiase was kind of portrayed as a bodyguard, not necessarily a wrestler, he was still portrayed as someone tough enough to guard the body of the guy with all the money. So to me, it looked like an uphill battle. What about you, Johnny? What was your first inkling watching it? This could actually change tonight.
No, very, very similar. The big difference between the WrestleMania 3 match and this was you nailed it. Had the same thing stuck out as all the interference and the shenanigans with Virgil and Teddy, and because big difference with the WrestleMania 3 match. It was just straight up one-on-one. Bobby didn't even get involved at all. So that was a huge difference. I guess as almost a year later, Andre is definitely physical condition definitely deteriorated. That was about 5 or 10 years of deterioration in that 1 year for poor Andre. So big difference there. His lack of mobility.
Now, Dave, you said you went into the night thinking he might be in trouble, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of inside stuff here, living near New York City and stuff. A lot of the older kids at school, I was in second grade, as you were, and a lot of the older kids at school would be teasing me, his wife's pregnant, which she really was. Brooke was born in May. He's going to do this, going to do that. He's not going to be in wrestling forever. All that kind of shit was already going around. And they actually had the magazine April 88, which would come out in March. They'd always be a month ahead. They had the press release in Hogan's title stolen for that match. And I think, I didn't know who Meltzer was at the time or anything like that, but it got around. And people were saying, it was in the newspaper that they sent it to some publishing company, Hogan's title stolen, and all this stuff. I was like, nah, I wasn't believing any of it or anything like that. But it really got, people are really busting my balls. I mean, I'm the guy that in the summer of 1987 only wore a Hulkamania shirt. When my mom had to wash it, I'd run around shirtless. Yeah. So I was in Hulkamaniac on the block and in the school, even though there was a lot more as well. But on this one they were really on me saying this is it. So
I think for me, I told you this before, Dave, that my uncle told me before WrestleMania 3 that he had read in the newspaper that Andre was going to beat Hulk and insisted.
Right.
He was telling, it's predetermined. It's already set. I read it in the newspaper. And then when that didn't happen, it really ruined everyone else's credibility.
Yeah,
no matter what anyone said to me, I just wrote it off as bullshit because they already came at me once with this nonsense. And, Hulk won. He didn't lose. And my grandfather, who was not a great guy, I thought he was for a long time. He came over from Italy. He was fleeing Italy because he had pissed off a tough guy in Italy for cheating on his daughter. So he had to get the hell out on the guy told him, you get on the next boat or you're dead tomorrow. So that's how he came here. He had my grandmother. He had another family, but he loved wrestling. And he would tell
your grandfather was Tony Soprano.
He would tell everyone in the family that wrestling is real and that football was fake. And I just started, just watched my first Saints game like this month against the Vikings, the same month. So I was more skeptical that football was fake than wrestling at this point. But Ryan, you obviously go into it with a different perspective because you have history. You know the outcome. But
yeah, on the rewatch, especially leading up to this, they did a really good job of building the foundation of getting to the title match. You know, right away with Vince and Jesse, obviously Vince on Hogan's side saying this is the biggest rematch in wrestling history, really. And then Jesse saying it's about time we get some damn justice. Andre was cheated out of his victory. They show the video package with foggy rose-colored glasses of everyone sees Hulk's arms up. The ref, Joey Morella, that cheapskate mother effer, you know, in Hogan's pocket. You know, that's really cute that they said he's in Hogan's pocket when they get the Hebner twins in theirs. And then Jesse, you know, being blind to the baby faces and being that dipshit heel he is, you know, siding with Andre when the referee actually counted 3, but Hogan's arm was up in the match early on. That's early on in the match too, where Andre just falls on him and, you know, really sets the tone for this rematch right away. So they did a good job of laying the foundation. Even the promos building up to the match where DiBiase was like, I've got the biggest money, the best facilities. I've got Andre ready. Money can't buy this match. Pretty much what he said without saying it in retrospect. So they did a really good job of laying the foundation of how we got to the finish of this match. So from watching it, from my point of view, I really I appreciate how they got us here.
Now, I thought this is obviously the era where wrestlers had pretty much all freedom in their promos, but it's pretty widely known that NBC would script a lot of the promos on Saturday Night's Main Event and the main event, or just maybe add lines. A lot of they're real punny. They would do a lot of that kind of thing. And I thought they did a really good job here with the promos in general on the show. I know that earlier our friends have talked about the Honky Tonk match and with Macho, a great match in itself, but I remember being very restless. I remember I could compare it to being at a Pearl Jam concert when the opening band's on. You know, it's like for me, it's almost like Led Zeppelin could be up there. But like,
you want to hold it on.
I want to get, you know what I mean? I want to get to it. You know, like give me Release. You know, give me the first song. Like I'm ready for Pearl Jam. And on this night, I was ready for Hulk and Andre. And I remember being very restless during the match and the commercials and the promos. And when the match finally starts, my fears are immediately justified because right away Hogan has to fight Ted and Virgil, right? The first people that Hulk engages with is them. Then goes to Andre. And right away, the tone is set. Hulk is wrestling all 3 of them, you know, not just Andre. Let's talk a little bit about the 8 minutes or so from bell to finish. You know, let's like kind of stop at the finish. The WrestleMania 3 match, you know, famously given -6 stars by that idiot Meltzer, is a really, I think, very good match. And JAD pointed out that the year has slowed Andre quite a bit. He's not even in as good a shape, I don't think, as he was a year ago. But I watched it last night. First time I'd watched it in a long time. I don't watch the Hulk losses over very often. But I sat down for the first time, maybe since the network came out.
So unfortunately, because some of his best matches, the Warrior and the Rock.
Yeah, the Warrior one. Oh, I haven't watched in a decade. But
we know
what about the first 8.5, 9 minutes before the finish? You know, how did everybody feel they pulled it off? Because I kind of found it in the rewatch. But what was happening in the ring was almost secondary to the buzz around it. Mm-hmm. You know, the crowd was so buzzed and there was so much energy, maybe even nervous energy like I had. Through the whole match, you can hear people screaming or whistling, or there was a real tense.
How about the belt change and him doing the interview with the old belt, then coming out with the winged eagle? Something just seemed funny. Something seemed off. Like, fuck, something's something's
Good point.
gonna happen here tonight. Like something
Yeah.
strange is going down, and it sure did, right?
JD, what did you think of the 8 minutes they put in before the finish? How did you think it went? Maybe compared to WrestleMania 3, maybe regardless of that. But what did you think about the actual work that Hulk and Andre put in to tell the story before the finish?
Yeah, the work was adequate. I would put it a notch below the WrestleMania match.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because of what we spoke about with the shenanigans and the interference, but and also Andre. But it was a lot more succinct as the WrestleMania 3 match had that long bear hug spot, which
right,
for prime time they cut off the spots like that to keep it moving. And so it seemed like it was a lot more a lot more paced a lot better.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, I think it was a completely different kind of match than the WrestleMania 3 match. This one was way more fast-paced. Hogan was running around the whole time, hitting DiBiase, hitting Virgil, stomping his hand. The money went flying, all that kind of stuff, and just trying to knock Andre down. WrestleMania 3 was a little more methodical in the approach to it, and Andre was beating up Hulk a lot more at WrestleMania 3. This was like just Hulk kind of just on fire, but then it all just falls apart for him at the end because of the penny pinching two-time and referee, you know? So I think the WrestleMania 3 match told a better story, but I don't know. I just said this is just greatest angle ever, right? So
Jesse mentioned that Hulk is going for an early knockout in the commentary. He's really going for it, Ryan. And Ryan, maybe you can speak to this. I kind of felt like it reminded me of like sudden death in an NHL playoff game or extra time in a soccer game. It felt like it could end at any second. Like it just always had that buzz and that pace. Like it wasn't going to be long. Something was going to give, it kind of felt like. And the crowd seemed to feel that way too.
Yeah, a lot of urgency, really. A lot of urgency, a lot of striking. And hell, we even got like Hogan off the second rope. That was
I forgot to say that. Yeah.
He knocked Andre down on that second rope. I was like, wow, that's
he even tried the top, brother. He tried the top too. That's a real rarity.
Yeah. So, like you said, it's only 8 minutes, but it's urgent. It's frantic. It's paced to what Andre can do, but like always, Hogan did a really good job of selling his ass off, getting ready for that finish.
So the last minute now, I'm watching last night with Paula, and she makes the comment, Hulk, you're wrestling Andre. Watch Andre, because Hulk finds himself a little distracted with the outside stuff.
Virgil's grabbing his leg. DiBiase's pulling the ref. Yep.
And that's what I feared as a 7-year-old. And Paula caught it last night as a 7-year-old. That Hulk got a little distracted. Andre creeps in, gives him the headbutts, the suplex. Not exactly Brock Lesnar quality. But he got the suplex on.
After 4 years, that's going to beat him, right?
He gets the suplex, gets on top of him. Took him a second to get on top of him, too. But he gets the job done, and the ref counts one, and clear as day. And props to Kevin Dunn or whoever else is directing this. They have the shot perfect because anyone with eyeballs can see that as soon as one comes, Hulk's up.
Yeah.
Everybody can see it. And they also did a good job of, and maybe this is Hebner as
I guess he didn't even argue it. He was like, hey, the ref counted 3. That's it. Too bad.
Hebner did a good job, I think, of putting him in a position where it'd be reasonable to think maybe he didn't see it, because he's kind of on the opposite. He's kind of right next to that shoulder, maybe focus on the other one. But I thought the blocking was good. The setup is good here. And Hogan's arm is clearly up, but he counts 3 and the bell rings. And this is where I think the masterpiece is written right here. This 45 seconds of what is happening. What happened? Because I know his shoulder was up. You know his shoulder was up. But we heard the bell. The ref left the ring. Mean Gene has showed up over here for some reason.
It's rare. Very rare.
The ref has the bell. What is happening? What is happening? And then finally hear from Fink what is happening. And now I want to go back sort of that other question, but the other end of the match. JAD, you start this time. What was your reaction when you realized, holy shit, 4 years is over, Hogan just dropped the belt?
Yeah, well, my reaction was after all that, the finish could have been a lot better with Andre could have gave a more devastating move, but unfortunately he was limited. But also, how about let's stretch out the drama a little. Never mind, how about Hogan the performer? Nobody kicks out at 1 better than Hulk. How about maybe stretch it out to 2 at least? But he had to show everybody that he had to kick out at 1 with the.
Well, let me play devil's advocate on that though for you, John, and you can push back, which is I think will be good.
I will.
Isn't the point that he couldn't possibly be beaten there? Right? Isn't the point that
they wanted to make sure it came across that it was up in case?
Yeah, he's up. He kicked out at 1. It wasn't a devastating move. Hulk was clearly up. That's kind of the point of the finish, right? They fucked him. They screwed him. And if it's this death-defying Brock Lesnar suplex, and Hogan is dazed and out, and
bonsai drop or something.
2 7/4. Well, he was basically beat. I don't know. I don't think that's Hogan being a showboat. I think that's Hogan playing off that he was cheated. Ryan, you want to push back on that?
Now, I agree. I agree that I'm more with the latter there. That they are emphasizing that his arm was up, and that they were doing that type of finish. Now, do you remember when in the WrestleMania 3 match Hogan put his shoulder up because they did the same spot, but the ref caught it.
Oh, that was in the first 2 minutes. That was in the first.
Yeah. But was he up at 2 or was he up at 1?
1 and 3/4. Maybe it was a little before 2, but it's kind of like he squeaked out. It wasn't one of these. It was kind of more like a kick out, a little more. Well, it's a little different.
Over dramatized this time around to kind of put the
WrestleMania match was definitely on a 2.5.
It was much later. Dave, what was your reaction?
This was barely at 1, where
he's up
as bad as he did to Power and Glory in a future Survivor Series where he killed their careers when
all right,
the Power Plex
tag team finishes, and he ended that career right there.
But it is Hulk Hogan though. It's not like it was Hillbilly Jim kicking out of it,
Dave, what did you think when you realized that holy shit, it's over? He's not the champ anymore.
I remember throwing a few haymakers at my dad's arm because he liked the bad guys, but he liked Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan wrestled like a bad guy, fire with fire. And so he always tell me, I don't like Santana, I don't like Steamboat, I don't like that. But Hogan, Hogan's cool. He's a badass in there. But he got up
because Hogan cheats just like the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He would always point out, raking the eyes.
So he jumped up and cheered, and as I was running up the stairs to run away from it all, like it didn't happen, I threw a couple shots at him, and I think I got had to stay in that weekend.
The wooden spoon came out.
Yeah. They actually made a cat and nine tails for me 2 years later in 1990.
That reminds me when the Saints here were in Super Bowl.
Different 44. Times, man.
When the Saints were in Super Bowl 44, I had a party at my house, and my one uncle thought he could come to the party and I bet on the Colts. I got to cheer the Colts. And when they scored the first touchdown, he started cheering. He got kicked the fuck out. You got to go. I could not imagine if someone. I think you did well. If my dad would have stood up in that moment and started taunting me that Hulk lost the belt, I would have done more than a couple shots.
I remember right now exactly. It was when Howard Finkel said, "And news." He knew first. We loved when he did that. You know what I mean? So
my mom was like in tears. Not because she was upset Hulk lost the belt, because she was upset what a disaster I was going to be the next 5 days.
Yeah, my sisters were I have three older sisters. They were in junior high school and high school, that age. And I was in 2nd grade. And wherever they were at parties, a friend's house, whatever, this was on. The phone rang all 3 times. How's David? How's he doing?
My mom knew it wasn't
WWF title.
My mom knew it wasn't going to be good because she had gotten the report for what happened when Steamboat lost about how I acted with that. At least I wasn't in Indianapolis on this night. But yeah, I remember hearing him say it and going to the floor, pounding the floor, or my pillow on the floor. And just being in disbelief.
I thought maybe they would restart the match or something, or I couldn't believe it when the show went off the air. It was like, and then the next day on Superstars and Challenge they couldn't talk about it. Remember, they kept having to bleep it out because they did the commentary already. Oh my god, I can't even get. I don't think I went to school that Monday. I couldn't get any satisfaction.
Time off.
I thought okay, Superstars on at 11 tomorrow morning. Boom, I'll find out what happened. They're going to give Hulk his belt back. And then they can't talk about it. I'm losing. I had high blood pressure at 7 years old. you know.
So obviously, after the announcement, Andre forfeits the tag team championship to DiBiase.
What is that? I mean, he's hard to understand, but he's not a stupid person.
He said it twice.
Yeah, I know. He said it twice. I mean, I know you can misspeak, you know, like, but to say it twice, I mean, it was a rib of some kind.
Hey, if Jack Tunney had any balls, he should have said, "Hey, Andre surrendered the tag team title.
Yeah.
This is not the tag team title. This is the heavyweight. So
that actually, if we could go back in hindsight, right now, we wouldn't even need a tournament WrestleMania 4.
Well, Jack Tunney certainly
surrender. and he should have picked an easier word to say than surrender.
Yeah. So Andre surrenders the belt, and then they kind of hightail out, at least initially, so that Hulk can have the ring with Abner brothers.
So Hulk could be because Hulk could be the bully and like the sore loser that he is. And
I mean, I'm sure you can handle it really well if your title was stolen to you by a guy who had plastic surgery to look like the ref. So I'd suck it
up, demand a rematch, and just
they really didn't look that much alike either, because Dave had the belly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they look alike, but it's like, you know what I mean.
Hulk set a poor
identical, not exactly.
Hulk set a poor example, and instead of just asking for a rematch and winning it back, he's got to say, "Oh, I was cheated."
I think it was a little throwback to Rocky 3 too, with throwing him out of the ring, because like people watching this that may have only seen Hulk Hogan from Rocky 3, so it's like doing that again.
Yeah.
That same spot. So I think that was a little throwback, a little nod to that.
Hulk got some air under the Hebner there. I mean,
they missed
over the guy. That was
It was working out to that Jake the Snake music. It was actually before it was Jake the Snake's music. A lot of people don't know that. Jake wasn't using it yet.
Oh, yeah. They showed that earlier in the night.
Yeah, the workout video. Yeah.
It's practically softcore porn. Hulk Hogan porn there.
I don't know if I follow that. All right. Yeah, the squats maybe.
I was like, all right. Like, I see it. It felt like it went on too long the other night when I watched it. I was like, all right. Like,
the music's great. The music works with that, though. It's great. That's great.
That's not one they have to change.
Yeah.
Look, I know what it's like to have my team cheated out of a chance to go to a Super Bowl, and I'll never get over it.
On the other end of that.
Get over it. I will never get over that. I'm over the music, the Minnesota Miracle, whatever it's called with Diggs. We got beat. The rookie, he fucked up. We got beat. I'll never get over the St. Louis game because we were cheated, and this is that. You know what I mean? To be cheated, it's a different level of losing. And all those people who say to me, get over the 2018 title game, I say, all right, but wait till it happens to your team. Then we'll see who wants to get over it. But it's really tough when you're cheated. And I know as a 7-year-old, I felt like my guy was cheated. And immediately I went to, okay, he's got to get it back. And I knew WrestleMania was soon. And I said, well, he's got to get a chance to get it back at WrestleMania. I wasn't clear who had it. I didn't know, because they said right away, Vince said, we'll have to check on that to see if you can actually give the
right. Yeah, that's what I meant by I was like stayed up all night waiting for Superstars the next day, thinking that. Yeah.
So right away my head went to, where do we go from here? And he's got to get it back, because to me, he had to be the champ. But it would be a while, obviously, that we'd have to wait to get it back April of '89 when,
and years later, the Nash, learned the lesson, the mistake that DiBiase made with the finger poke of doom.
I love that. I might be the only person in the world that loved that. I watch that all the time, over and over and over. Bischoff doing with the thing on Goldberg. Oh my God, love it.
So, Steve, as we get out of here, let's play this. Let's play this Hogan interview after.
Yeah, let's hear Hogan. Yeah, let's hear what he had to say after.
All right, Vince McMahon, Bedlam and Pandemonium. Things in somewhat of a chaotic state here. Hulk Hogan, I'm sure there's going to be a thorough investigation by the World Wrestling Federation.
That sounds like Hulk porn.
Here tonight, and I know you could not be any more disappointed.
How much money did they spend on the plastic surgery, man? I had all bases covered. I had the Hulkamaniacs watching DiBiase. I had Virgil in his place. Never in my wildest dreams, Mean Gene, would I think that I would get ripped off by a penny-pinching two-timing referee. How much money on the plastic surgery? How much money did he spend to pay the referee off? When I turned around, Mean Gene, they were identical. Identical.
Right here, Hulk. Here it is now.
Shoulder, brother. Look at the shoulder.
That's it.
The referee is paid off, brother. Look at the $100 bills falling out.
That's the best part.
Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura is standing by with
What a
Mean
baby.
Gene.
That's a great moment.
The $100 bills falling out of his pockets would make it.
That might be the best acting of his life. I mean,
Oh my God. So
that's
good.
how I felt. That's how I felt after the NFC Championship game. That was me.
You see Blackjack Lanza over there hanging out in the corner?
Yep. That's a great promo. That's all just
Oh,
fastball down.
I also really want to know what happened with because obviously on the network now they show the ending, the Strike Force and Heart Foundation, but on NBC that night, I don't know if Ryan knows this, it was actually cut off.
Yeah.
They just started wrestling and it just got cut off. So actually, part of me was waiting for that result, which never came. And we knew that Strike Force was still the champions, obviously, but that never came. They never said who won that match.
And that was
TV
never
at all.
actually available until the network, right? That was the first time.
Never. No, it was the first time.
Yeah. So what was that 2013, 14 when the network came out?
14. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so that. I mean, we all assumed Strike Force won because they stayed the champs. But
Yeah, it could have been in count out or things.
Yeah. But a historic night, history. One of the biggest nights in the history of the business. The most watched. It will be forever the most watched.
Still, it was a 15 something,
33 million.
33 million, a 15 point something rating.
that's nuts.
Yeah.
Untouchable. Yeah.
Now they get AEW doesn't even do 1.0 rating. So just think about that.
30 seconds because we didn't do enough of it. JD, you handle it. 30 seconds on Andre and his greatness here and what he brought to it because we focused on Hulk a lot. And I know he's not in the best shape or whatever, but 30 seconds on the greatness of Andre, which maybe people overlook sometimes.
Well, just every move that he made was like important and devastating. Maybe not so much towards the end, but like his headbutts and every single move was important. He don't waste no moves in the ring. So.
When he headbutted Hulk, I thought Hulk's head was going to explode.
Twice.
You know what I mean? You thought he's dead from that. I mean, I remember Leapin' Lanny, poor Leapin' Lanny, getting carted out of there, just blood oozing everywhere from Andre's freaking headbutts. And I actually talked about it on 3x5, opponents that scared me with Hulk, and Andre's the guy that scared me the most because, like you say, every single thing he does to you could kill you. He's a giant.
I just wish we had, more of like 84 where he could do that splash, where he could do the big butt splash or
Yeah.
In the cage.
He wasn't in the shape. All right, ChroNoSo monthly. Thanks to Dave and to JD and Ryan and to me. Catch us all around the horn, and I think we got more. So let's hand it off. Bye now.
Later.